Erasmus Plus is the current European program for non-formal education and European education in general. The program has been around for a long time, since the late 90s, really, through different names and different versions of it. And increasingly, it became one of the big tools through which a European generation of citizens has been formed. Millions of people now in Europe have this element in common to their identity. They are European citizens thanks to learning mobility. And simply, I don't think Europe would be the same today, as problematic as it is, without Erasmus and Erasmus+.
First reason was these Erasmus Plus projects were always looking for ways to provide kind of new tools for youth workers, but through a lens of global education. We've used storytelling and global education in the past, sport and global education, and we felt that with how diverse and how large a scope with games, we wanted to incorporate games and global education, because it can be a very useful tool for kind of looking at some of these complex issues like poverty, inequality and climate change.
It was very inspiring to see how the group came together, and at the beginning it was of course a collection of different people from different places and very different backgrounds. And the first day usually spent with people getting to know each other and learning what are some boundaries and what is the background of each other. And then as the activities develop and the group dynamics develop, it's very inspiring to see all these different individuals somehow gel together into one community. And community was really one of the keywords in our program, because the group really came together nicely, and so many people, as different as they could be, they had very strong elements in common: the courage, the passion, the determination to learn, simply get better at everything they do. And it really was a pleasure to work with them, to meet them every day, to see the smiles, maybe sometimes tired, but still very, very present, to be engaged in every topic and every activity that we had together. It's been one of those experiences where meeting the people gives you the energy to get up from bed every day and do the work. Overconsumption for two.
Wow. We had an 8-day project, which seemed quite long at the beginning, and we did squeeze an awful lot in. So each day was quite full. We started with breakfast at 8. We did our service and care groups from 9 to 9:30, which was a mix of cleaning, kitchen, kind of managing the space, but also reporting. You know, we have a document of each day's activities that the group has put together themselves. And we also did a social media team, which was really fun. Session 1 every day was 9:45 to 11:30, so that was a fairly long session. We generally did kind of input on one of the topics that we're talking about this week. Then we had a couple of breaks. We did 2 sessions then in the morning, and then we had a couple of hours for lunch. And then we did 2 sessions in the afternoon. So our days felt quite long, but in a very stimulating and engaging way. The group was amazing. They were still, eager and keen to learn by 6:30 every evening. And then we did reflection groups towards the end of the day, which were really key actually in figuring out whether everything was going to plan and whether everybody was picking up on what we were trying to do with each day. And then we would have dinner at 7 and an evening activity actually most nights, which was a really fun way for the group to get to know each other and have a bit more sort of relaxed fun.
Yes! Go! 5, 6, where do we go? 7, 8.
My practice in the programme was threefold. I was looking at elements of outdoor activities along with language, cognition and emotion, and then also with a focus on the SDGs. We're based on trying to cater for the group's good health and well-being, which is obviously crucial to the SDGs. And language, cognition and emotion part was looking to tie a communication aspect into how people can interpret the SDGs and how they can navigate each of the quite complex sets of targets and indicators on each of the SDGs.
I think with this program we put together 2 topics that are very relevant and urgent to our times. One is global education, which of course includes justice, end of poverty, and tackling problems like climate crisis, which they feel so urgent to our world, and a lot of people have the feeling we need to do something and fast. And the other big topic is games and how we learn through games. Games are also very, very cool today, because we live in a time where entertainment, and especially professional entertainment, is more and more popular. So a lot of people are engaged in games of all sorts: video games, board games, role-playing games. The industry is growing, and it's becoming more and more clear how such a powerful tool can be used to do good also in other fields such as education. And this, I think, is one of the reasons why this program was so interesting, and so many people found it relevant.
This is a dignity kit. Sometimes all you get is a little bit of shelter and a dignity kit.
What do you need? Okay. Mommy. Games and the power that games have to change how we see the world. This wasn't a topic I was hugely expert on. I came with more of a global justice, global education kind of mindset. But the games element was so interesting, and even in break times when we were playing games, playing card games, playing board games together, or playing outdoor games during sessions, I deconstruct afterwards the lessons that we had learned and the things that we learned about each other and about the world and about ourselves. And I just think that we practiced what we preached this week. We played the games that we were talking about. We learned lessons from games, and we learned how to use games in order to change how people see the world. So that was a major learning for me. I think I also learned a huge amount about group dynamics and about how no matter what your expertise is, or no matter what your perspective is, you always have something to offer. And we had a huge variety of, huge diversity of people in this group. And they all brought something really fascinating and really thought-provoking.
Us go towards what we go towards, or act the way we act. They are standards that we use to evaluate norms, attitudes, and traits.
So we covered quite a broad range of topics throughout the program. For instance, Katie did quite specific work on some of the SDGs, and Carmina did a session on online radicalization. So the language, cognitions and emotions part was in essence a bridge between those. So it linked how the SDGs can be interpreted and regarded, and then also how language in online radicalization can cause such emotional responses in people. Language has so many different functions in society, so it can be used as a force for good, or a force for or a destructive force in society. So it can be used in a way that can marginalize or radicalize people on every end of the spectrum, but it is also something that can be used in really beneficial and powerful ways for actions that can create a more stable and environmentally friendly world.
The goals and links between the goals and conceptual overlap between the goals and why they're linked and why they're systematic, okay? And it's all through language and concepts. Okay,
So I learned an awful lot this week. I learned a lot from the group and from their own experiences and the work that they have done, and the expertise that they brought with them to this week. We had a lot of group discussions that just got so interesting and really in depth about the issues we were talking about. We had so much variety during the week that sometimes it was, your brain would be kind of going from games to SDGs, social justice issues, outdoor games, team building. We were talking about topics like refugee crisis, climate change. It seemed that we covered so much, and I learned so much about all the topics.
That are propagated through magazines, Instagram, social media, TV. And that doesn't bring a lot of happiness.
No.
It actually brings a constant, everyday dose of frustration, self-hate, and insatisfaction.
Anxiety.
And anxiety.
Yeah. I think it's worse.
Yeah.
At the end of the project now, looking back, it seems like it has went very, very well. The participants that I've spoken to have told me of how grateful they are for the opportunity, and the facilitation team have worked great together. A new group of trainers working together can be challenging, but it really didn't look that way with the group that we had, and that's credit to their professionalism. And the whole entire team was great, in fact. And I think the participants, from our point of view, it's kind of now is so what will they do after this program, and that's going to be the real sign of its success.